So thank you, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to be here at TEDx Xavier School. So let me start. Can schools ace online learning in a pandemic? In March 2020, the Philippines joined the world in shutting down schools because of the COVID-19 global pandemic, which at the time affected 80% of total school population worldwide. That meant 3 out of 4 students, or 1.4 billion students, were no longer in the classroom for the usual face to face mode of learning. 1 year into the pandemic, over 800 million students are still facing the effect of school disruption due to community or national restrictions. The pandemic had successfully pushed the education sector to press pause. The unprecedented long term disruption forced most education systems around the world to design their national education continuity plans in a short and limited period of time. Despite being caught off guard, schools had and needed to hit the play button again, even with the chaos and uncertainty that engulfed the whole world. As an edtech or digital learning specialist and consultant, I spent some weeks working with teachers and school leaders from both public and private schools. Through my education advocacy platform, EmpowerEd, I was able to connect with more teachers around the world via online webinars we delivered alongside the Department of Education. Together with some colleagues, I also wrote various reports. This is an independent report that I've written with other members of my team to or for UNESCO. There's a guideline for online distance learning, and of course, my favorite content right now. I've created podcasts to help teachers prepare and draw their plans on how they can continue to deliver education despite the lockdown. But here's the thing, the experience with working with teachers was really tough. Transition was rapid. There was no time to breathe. Why? Because teachers, school leaders, all schools had to consider a lot of factors before they can decide which modality or which mode of learning they will have to adopt for the coming school year. For schools whose students and teachers have the means to access the internet through their personal learning devices, online distance learning was the way to go. Online learning was seen as one of the temporary solutions and alternative to face learning. However, this is something that we need to understand. The kind of online learning that we have right now, or we have at this moment, is hardly similar to the kind of online education that we saw in the past years. We are in a state of public health emergency that continues to complicate the way our lives turn. Simply put, education is currently undergoing a massive global online learning experiment. So, how is the experience so far? We can definitely say that it's not at all a walk in the park. The reaction from teachers, parents, and students were as varied and colorful as the shades in a big crayon box. The numerous memes that came out and got shared by everyone, teachers, parents, and even students in social media are proofs to how crazy things have turned out, especially at the beginning of online classes. Some of these challenges touch on crucial parts, such as the need for teachers to have more time to design online lessons and learning materials. With zero prior experience or even knowledge about online learning, teachers have to make a courageous leap of faith and a massive deep dive into the unknown, bringing with them a glimmer of hope that things will be better or at least give their students a sense of normalcy. In most of my talks for the past couple of months, I've always used this symbol in describing the work of teachers right now. Teachers are flying an airplane that they are currently building, trying not to let it fall and crash. On the other hand, parents at home also found themselves in the same ride because this was all new to them. They had no clue of what's going to happen. With so much doubts and questions, they wanted clarity and some kind of assurance that this kind of learning is as good as being in the classroom. If the school fails to communicate what online learning is, what it demands, and how parents should understand it, then school parent relationship is in for a great test. And of course, let's not forget, at the forefront of the discussion are the students who are deeply overwhelmed as they adjusted to the new environment. Students had to learn new skills. What does it mean to log in into a video conference? How do I download materials from learning management system? How do I answer tests online with all honesty and integrity? Unreliable technology access and infrastructure also contributed to the hurdles of online learning. Moreover, the absence of structure and support that being in a physical classroom afforded students are now gone and are now contributing to the negative experience. But most importantly, this is one concern that has been coming out more often than not. There is a lack of authentic personal connection between teachers and students. It is ironic that online learning can connect classes, but might also fail to cultivate personal relationship, which studies have shown could positively contribute to better student achievement. Why is it difficult to cultivate personal relationship right now? It's not because teachers do not want to or the technology does not allow for it to happen. It's just that for most of us, we're just exhausted. We're just tired after an online class. That what do we do? We are in a hurry to log out. We are in a hurry to really close our devices and just sit or entertain ourselves. If students continue to experience these hurdles, then the hope of our future, as the great national hero Zerisal would say, are doomed to get lost, feel overwhelmed, and become unmotivated over time. If there are no clear learner support system to help students manage the change and the demands of online learning, then this massive global experiment will fail. Yet, because we are learning from our experiences, we remain thoughtful and agile in improving what we have right now. Looking at the current situation, there's a bigger chance that online distance learning or some form of blended face to face and online learning, if community restrictions will finally allow it, will still be the reality for a lot of students. So there's a need to reflect and make reiterations that build on our collective experiences of success and failures in online education. So, what can be done to fully maximize online distance learning? I have three ideas, but before I share these three ideas, I would like to come clean to everyone. You obviously know that I love talking about digital learning because it is what I'm passionate about. I am an advocate for it. Yet, that's from a perspective of a teacher, but I also empathize with all the students right now who are studying online. Why? Because I'm also an online distance learning student. I have definitely experienced what you're experiencing right now. 3 years ago, with my busy work schedule in school and my engagement in the Philippines, and sometimes I needed to travel abroad or overseas, I decided to enroll at UP Open University for my master's degree in education. There were moments when I did not want to download my class readings. I even felt annoyed because I had a classmate who commented so much in our discussion forums or even asked questions that made the discussion forums longer than what we expected. And there were moments then I felt hopeless because my professor was not replying to my emails or returning the papers that I have submitted. I was about to take my comprehensive exams, but my paper in one course have not been returned yet. So it was a big mess. It was a big problem. And there were moments when I thought that I can learn independently. And because it's online, I'm doing things on my own 70, 80% most of the time. There were moments when I really dallied with the requirements and with the readings in my class. You know, as a teacher, I am not proud of what I did, especially in my first year, because it came to a point when it was too difficult for me to catch up because I have work in school, I have work outside school, and then I have this online education degree that I have to finish. So what like what so like what I've said earlier, It takes time for students like me, I'm already an adult student, to get used to the demands of online learning. But most of the time, we can actually hack or find a way to make online learning work. You know where we could find the solution? The solutions has been there ever since the first moment we stepped in the classroom. Our teachers have been teaching us skills that can help us ace online learning. So the first idea of the three ideas concerns our students. So for our students, there is a need to consistently practice self-discipline, time management, and independence. This is easier said than done, but here are some practical ways to do these things. First, remember that where you study affects the way you learn. So set up a well-lit study nook in your room or in your space. And sorry to burst your bubble, like we have seen a lot in TikTok, your bed is not a good place to study. Create a schedule for yourself and stick to that schedule. You know, there are little things that you can do to actually wake you up and condition your mind that there is a great day ahead of you. That starts with showering and grooming yourself before you log into your virtual classes. Manage your time. This is very, very important. You need to know which is a priority project, a priority work, or not. You know, this is what they've said, and this is what they've discovered. A crammer in face to face learning will still cram in online learning. It doesn't really matter if you don't know how to manage your time. And lastly, and not the least, also, when you feel that online learning has taken its toll on you, take time to rest and recharge. Talk to your family, talk to your friends, even your teachers. Please do not feel embarrassed to share your thoughts, your struggles to your teachers and your friends and your family. They might even help you make sense of and find solution to what you're going through right now. Second idea is for parents. Homeschool connection and partnership needs to be stronger more than ever. To our dear parents out there, we teachers would like to connect with you more so that we can help your kids, our students to study better despite the distance that separates them from us. We need your help and support for the sake of your kids at home. This kind of help does not mean you teaching your kids at home. This does not mean also that you doing the work for them or you nagging them to get perfect scores all the time. Instead, we want you to make sure that your kids stick to their schedule, turn up in their virtual classes, do their work at home, and answer their online tests with all honesty and integrity. Let let them be students. Let them explore. Let them commit mistakes and help them learn from these mistakes. Most of all, be with them. The third idea is for my fellow teachers. Thank you for holding the fort, dear teachers. If that means juggling your teaching time with your personal time to be a parent for your own kids at home, or using your personal resources to give each child what they deserve right now. For teachers around the world, this is not a dramatic heroism. This is simply another phase of what it means to be a teacher right now. This has been said often, but I want to reiterate it again. Student-centered pedagogy over technology. So teachers, please remember that the best way for us to engage students is to let them explore, to try out and do something and reflect using the tools that we have online. As the school leaders in my school would say, design minimal learning activities, but make sure that these learning activities have maximum impact on the students. There is one more idea that I want to bring up, and it is about equity. The big challenge of inequity continues to plague all education systems around the world. It can't be solved easily. There is a need for a systematic solution that could bridge and close the digital divide that we have seen so much clear right now. For me, this starts with demanding a bigger funding from the government to support the education system, most special schools in the public school sector. What we have right now is not enough. The fight for equity is not just about access to computers or the internet. There are struggling schools out there who have no electricity, not enough books for children, or have dilapidated buildings. Why am I talking about this? Because the fight for equity is close to my heart. I am a product of the public school system in the Philippines, and I hail from a far province up north in our country. And I can still remember back in early 1990s, the first time I held a computer was when I was in high school. It was already in the 2000s. And how I easily realized how unequal things were because those who can have access computers earlier in their time have a clear advantage as compared to students who will have to wait for high school or college to access computers or the internet. This equity is still the reality that a lot of students see and experience right now. And unfortunately, the pandemic has made this gap or digital divide wider than ever. So, if we want to ace or revolutionize online education, then we need to fight for equitable access and opportunities for all students. So, going back to our question, can schools ace online learning in a pandemic? Yes, if we lay the foundation down well and get everyone ready for this new mode of learning. Everyone in the school community needs to move and transition together. No one should be left behind. But most importantly, I believe that schools can ace online learning if teachers and school leaders always remember that the student behind the screen is a person who needs personal connection. That the student might forget what is taught online, but they will always remember how the teachers have reached out to know them better and build a lasting relationship that defies the limitations of the virtual classes. In the coming months, we'll still be dancing with the pandemic. Let us make sure that we do not lose ourselves in this crazy pandemonium. That in our quest to ace online learning, let us always remember that we are not doing this simply to survive the pandemic, but because we now know that online learning can further strengthen and future proof our education system. When we have future proofed our education system, then we definitely can say that we have safely guarded the future of today's youth and of the next generation. Thank you.